So, how exactly do you balance rock solid security with everyday agility? I mean, it's pretty much the ultimate question, isn't it? If you're a Salesforce admin, you know this struggle intimately. You're constantly walking that tightrope, right? Trying to lock down your organization's most sensitive data while also making sure your users can actually get their daily work done without jumping through endless hoops. It's an incredibly tough job, and let's be real, when security measures get in the way of productivity, you're the one who hears about it.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome to this explainer where we are going to unpack some really welcome news directly from Salesforce. We're looking at their recent updates to step up authentication, specifically focusing on reports and dashboards. If you've been navigating the recent security rollouts and feeling a bit of that friction, you are definitely going to want to pay close attention to this one. Now, to really understand why these changes are happening, we've got to establish the stakes here. For Salesforce, trust is absolutely their number one value, from the inside out. We're living in an era right now where AI isn't just helping us work faster, it's also being weaponized by bad actors to make threats significantly faster and way less predictable. Salesforce is actively hardening the platform against sophisticated attacks. We're talking about things like session hijacking, where an attacker literally sneaks in using a valid, stolen session ID. Standard perimeter security just doesn't cut it against those kinds of threats anymore.
Part 1, the extra passport check.
To combat those advanced threats, Salesforce began rolling out this core security measure over in sandboxes. Think of step-up authentication as an extra passport check. Picture this. You've already shown your ID at security, you've got your boarding pass in hand, but right before you step onto that international flight, they check your passport one more time. Step-up authentication does exactly that, but for your sensitive data. So even if a bad actor manages to steal a valid session ID and sneaks into the system, they're stopped at the gate. When they try to access high-risk reports or dashboards, they get hit with an extra authentication checkpoint, meaning they absolutely cannot extract your sensitive data.
Section 2, the cost of friction.
Look, managing least privilege access is always a balancing act. And we have to be honest here. And to their credit, Salesforce was very transparent about this. During the initial sandbox rollout, the balance tipped just a bit too far. The initial requirement added unintended friction and some really unexpected behaviors to everyday workflows. As an admin, you likely felt this firsthand. Security is paramount, obviously, but when an update suddenly adds frustrating extra steps for your users, or worse, breaks your existing automated processes, it creates a massive headache. The intention was to secure the data, but the reality? It kind of started getting in the way of the actual work. Which brings us to Section 3, Smarter Step-Up Triggers. So, Salesforce listened to all that sandbox feedback, and their engineering teams moved incredibly fast to make the system smarter. They've deployed rapid updates to ensure that these security enhancements actually empower your users rather than blocking them. Think about the previous rule. It monitored literally all access to reports and dashboards. Every single time someone just looked at sensitive data, they might get prompted. That causes massive prompt fatigue. But the new rule? It narrows the focus entirely. Step-up authentication now triggers only on report export. This is a massive shift. It drastically reduces how often that prompt appears, keeping the friction super low for just general viewing, while maintaining that ironclad security posture exactly where it matters most, right when data is trying to leave the system. They didn't stop there. They also added contextual intelligence. IP restrictions now play a major role in this. If a request comes in without them, step-up is required. But, and here's the clever part, if an org or a user profile has predefined IP range restrictions, or if you happen to have the lock sessions to the IP address from which they originated setting enabled, the system is now smart enough to recognize that secure context. Those sessions are now automatically exempt from the step-up prompt. It's essentially security that actually understands its own environment. Section 4. Restoring seamless workflows. Beyond just tweaking those triggers, Salesforce actually shipped specific targeted fixes across 4 distinct areas of the platform to address that clear sandbox feedback. We're talking about embedded dashboards, the login as functionality, background automations, and mobile and experience cloud access. Let's quickly break down exactly how each of these has been resolved so you can get your org running smoothly again. First up, seamless embedded dashboards. Previously, if you had a dashboard embedded on a homepage using Lightning App Builder components, your users were probably getting this really generic, "This page has an error" message instead of a helpful authentication prompt. Why? Because the underlying analytics REST API just didn't support interactive challenge prompts in those specific contexts. Well, the great news is this is completely resolved. The API has been updated, and those embedded dashboard components now work seamlessly without throwing those annoying errors. Fix number 2 is going to be a huge relief for admins: uninterrupted admin troubleshooting. The step-up requirement actually broke the beloved login as function. Imagine this: an admin tries to log in as user to troubleshoot an issue, and the MFA prompt was actually being sent to the end user's device instead of the admin's. Obviously, that is not going to work. Now, Salesforce has smartly applied their existing MFA exemption logic right here. Proxy users utilizing login as are completely exempt from the step-up requirement, which means you can finally get back to troubleshooting without pinging your users' phones.
Next on the list, we have Fix 3, frictionless automation. Security prompts are inherently designed for humans, right? Which meant automated background jobs, shared integrations, and scheduled reports were just getting blocked, sitting there waiting for manual intervention that was literally never going to come. Salesforce addressed this head-on by implementing a null session check. This effectively allows those automated background jobs to safely bypass the step-up requirement entirely, ensuring your integrations and scheduled reports just keep ticking away perfectly behind the scenes.
And finally, Fix 4 covers mobile and Experience Cloud access. If you're dealing with partners logging into Experience Cloud or users out in the field on the mobile app, you absolutely need their experience to be as frictionless as possible. Salesforce recognized this and explicitly exempted both Experience Cloud users and mobile app users from these step-up enforcement requirements. So your on-the-go users and your external partners, they won't be interrupted by these specific prompts anymore.
Section 5, zero admin action required. Okay, so we've just talked through some highly technical deployment fixes, and usually in the Salesforce world, that translates to a long weekend of configuration work for you. So the big question that is undoubtedly on every single admin's mind right now is, what do you actually need to do to get all of these updates, triggers, and fixes applied to your org?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I'm serious. All of these comprehensive fixes, the smarter triggers, the exemptions, they have already been completely deployed by Salesforce. The platform has been updated for you. What this means in practice is that if you had previously disabled embedded dashboards, or maybe you paused some scheduled reports as a temporary workaround during that initial rollout, you can safely go in and re-enable them right now.
Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with one final thought to really reflect on. Is your perimeter security actually enough to protect your data in the AI era? Standard measures simply aren't going to cut it against today's sophisticated adversaries. But as we've seen today, Salesforce is building secure by default controls right into the product, proving that you absolutely can have both rock-solid data protection and everyday agility. Take this opportunity to reevaluate your own security hygiene based on these new insights. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and stay secure out there.